Have you ever seen those ultra smooth minimalist presentations with soft pastel tones that just feel effortless? Today, I'm breaking down exactly how to create that aesthetic step by step. So, whether you're a designer, architect, or just love clean visuals, this is your go to guide. You are probably familiar with this project. This is the coffee shop project. We created the modeling and renders for this whole section, and you can check it in top right corner, both of them. So since we used Inkscape to create renders for this, we will work on the interior side. As you can see, we have these default materials in here. But for this video, we are going to turn this into something much lighter and smoother, so we can use it for any diagram that we might need, for any like documentation, for viewing the plan or elevation or any section. Okay, to start, I'm going to just simply select everything that I have in this section. Okay, then I'm going to go to this override graphic in view, and with this override by element, we can control everything that we have in this section. First, I will change the foreground and background in surface pattern section. I don't have any section or like a selection box in this part, so I will always work on the surface pattern. For its background, I'm going to click on the color section, and I will choose a very light color, a very light but warm color, maybe something like this in this section. And I want it to be just a little bit colored, so I don't use that white color in every part. Okay, maybe this is enough. Okay, and then click on OK. For its pattern, I will go with just simply solid fill. And then in the pattern section, we can repeat it, but I'm not going to do it for all of these sections. We are going to use this pattern, foreground pattern, for just like very unique sections that we want to highlight. Okay, I'm going to just make this a little bit more and a little bit warmer, I think. Click on OK and OK again. Now we have all of the elements on the color that we choose, except these objects. I think I have to use that color on everything since I want to create a monotone theme for all of these parts. I'm going to go to this section and add it to my custom color so I can use the exact same color. Click on OK, and then in this part I'm going to choose the same color. Click on OK, and for its pattern, let's go with solid fill. Click on OK, and now we can see all of them on the same color. Okay, this part is very important. We need to have a very like simple but a color that is not white. You can see the difference in here. And after this, we're going to add colors one by one very smoothly. I'm going to select all of these sections again to make it even more smoother. As you can see in this part, we have all of these edges on black color. I want to change that section too, so I'm going to select all of them, and again in this section I will go to this project line. In this part I will go to this color section and I will choose the same color, but I'm going to make it a bit darker, maybe in this section. Okay, something like this. I'm going to also move this down so I have less saturation in here. Click on OK, and then for its pattern I'm going to go with solid. I will not change the weight unless I want to highlight some special parts, so I will leave these lines like this. Also, I need to add a little bit transparency to all of these projects. I know it might be weird, but I really like to have a little bit transparency, especially in these parts on some areas that we can't see. And this is very helpful for understanding the space much better. So I'm going to add just 10% transparency and click on OK. Now everything is much lighter. We have all of these sections on a like neutral colors, and I really like this way. So I think we can now see all of these sections, and if you want, you can add less transparency. For some areas, for especially these areas, I'm going to show you a way that you can see these sections much better. Now that we have a perfect base, now that we have the background, if there is some parts that you want to highlight, you can go ahead and use a very sharp color. Okay. In this case, as you can see these parts, this section on this open area, and also in these parts, I have created these unique forms. And also in this part, around these section, I want to highlight these parts and I want to use a very sharp color for that. So I'm going to select them, this part, this one, these areas, not this curtain, this section, and all of these parts. I'm going to select them, and then we can go back to this part in here, and I'm going to change these colors. In here, we can go with any color that might look good on this part. For example, as you can see, we have a good contrast between this color and the blue that we have in here. So we might be going with this blue, or maybe a very light green like this in here. We will not have that contrast with this color, but if this is what you like, you can go with this color too. They look really cool. Also, we can go with orange, we can go with maybe purple, maybe pink, and also we can go with red, maybe a dark red like this. I think it would look really cool on this background. So I will also add this to this part. I'm going to click on here, choose the color again, and click on add. Okay, click on OK. Before I hit finish, I will uncheck this background and then click on OK. Perfect. This looks really cool. We can see some areas under these parts and also in here. And for this part, I think I prefer to have this on no transparency. All of these three sections, I want to see them since they are thin. I prefer to see them with no transparency. So I'm going to put this on 0 this way, much better. And for this section, I will change it to maybe 5%. Click on OK. I think it is looking good for this area. But for these sections, I think we can turn the transparency off too, because they are not looking really cool. They should be solid. So I'm going to turn them back into just 0% and click on OK. Look, the parts that are under this section are looking the color that we have in this part, and the other sections are on their same color. Okay. The other thing that I want to do in this part is to add a like pattern for this floor. It looks very simple and I don't really like it this way. So I'm going to select it, go to this area, override by element, and in this section I'm going to just click on this reset and click on OK. Then I'm going to go to this edit type. Let's duplicate it and click on OK. In the structure section for this layer, I'm going to change the graphic that we have in this part. It's exactly the same. We have the surface pattern, foreground and background, but we are going to change it a little bit more. So I will choose the same color in this part and click on OK. For its pattern, let's go with this solid fill. And then for its pattern, for the foreground pattern, I'm going to go with the model section, and in here I will choose this footboard wide, and I want to also change its scale in this section to maybe 1.8. Click on OK and OK again. For its color, we can go with any color we want, but let's test it with this color. I'm not sure if it will look good or not, so let's just test it. If we don't like it, we can change it. I don't really like it, so I'm going to change it to something similar to this one. Maybe something like this. Click on OK. And then for this section, since we have this section check, use render appearance, it will use the color that we have in this part for its material. I'm going to go back to this section and uncheck this part. And if you don't want to see this section on these edges, because if we leave it like this, we will see this color on these edges. If you want every part to look the same, you can use this color on this section too. So I'm going to choose this color, click on OK, 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 and OK again. Now it looks much better. For this section that we have an extra line, since we used a model pattern, we can move these sections around. So I'm going to go to this modify section, use this line, click on this area, this edge that we have, and then click on this section. Okay, now we have all of these sections in here perfectly. I will also do the same on this side, this way. Perfect. So now we have a very cool background, and we can use even a bit lighter color for its foreground too, but I really like it right now. So the next thing that I want to do in here is to add a little bit color for the rest of these parts. I think right now everything is looking perfect, and if this is the theme that you want, you can go ahead and use it like this. I personally prefer it this way, but if you also want to add a little bit more colors or a little bit more contrast for different sections, you can do this method again on the rest of these sections. For example, for these greeneries, we can select them, also this little one and this one, and then we can go to the same section. In this part, I'm going to just simply uncheck this background, and for this foreground color, let's go with something green. In here, a little bit darker in this part. Okay, and OK again, this way. You can also change the transparency. For example, for this counter and for all of these tables, we can add another color. I'm going to select all of them this way, go to the same part, and this time we are going to go with another maybe like gray color, something like this, a little darker. Okay, it's very important to keep the main colors in here and then work with the rest of them. Click on OK, and now we have a little bit different color in here. Or for this curtain, I'm going to go with a white color, uncheck this background, and then in this part, let's go with white. It's okay if it is fully white or a little bit not white. So I'm going to click on OK again, and now we might see a little bit more contrast for these sections, for these floors. I don't want to see any transparency, so I'm going to put this back on 0 this way. And also for these walls, I want to add a little bit brick pattern, so I'm going to select them, go to edit type, duplicate them, click on OK. For their background, we're going to go with, of course, the same color and a solid pattern. And then for the foreground, we are going to go with the same but a little bit darker, maybe in this section. Click on OK. And for the pattern, we are going to go to model section and go with this brick pattern that we have in this part. I'm going to also make this a little bit bigger, 1.5. Click on OK and OK again. For this part, I'm going to uncheck it and use the same color that we had in this section before. Click on OK and OK and OK again. Now, if we select this wall and go to this section, reset all the graphics that we add to it, we can see the brick patterns in here. Can you see the difference between the wall lines in these two sections? I'm going to select them and go to this part again for the projection lines. Let's go with the same colors in this part and click on OK. If you want to be exactly using the same color, you can just simply go back to this part and check the color and apply it to here again. Okay, so this is how you can create a very high quality presentation on Revit, and this is the result that you can get. I really hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial, and I will see you next time.